laced up against him.
We've got breaking news out of the NBA. 9-time All-Star Damian Lillard has finalized a 3-year, $42 million deal to go back to the Blazers, sources tell ESPN. The deal is expected to include a player option in 27-28 and a no-trade clause. Wow, more on that coming up at 6 o'clock across the hall.
It feels right, though. Dame back in Portland, that feels right.
Yeah, but for now, let's send you to PTI. Wow.
Breaking news out of the NBA, and it involves that guy, Dame Lillard. And no, you're not seeing things. He is heading back to Rip City to play for the Portland Trail Blazers, finalizing a 3-year deal with $42 million to return to the Blazers per ESPN. The deal is expected to have a player option for the 27/28 season and include a no-trade clause, as he's the 7-time All-NBA selection with the Trail Blazers before being traded and spending a couple of seasons in Milwaukee. You see it there where he ranks in franchise history, arguably the best player they've ever had. All right, let's break it all down with John Gonzalez here. So I guess you can go back home. I know he's a Bay Area guy, but you know what I mean. Pacific Northwest, Portland, and Dame. What do we think?
Yeah, from Dame's perspective, this is great, Tommy. I mean, I was one of the people that was saying, look, he's going to have to rehab anyway. Dame doesn't need the money. I don't know what the rush is. The landscape in the NBA can change pretty dramatically year over year. And I was thinking that, you know, as he's rehabbing this Achilles, he should just wait until next offseason and then pick the best spot for him to go ring hunting. This makes sense, though, because, as you noted, best player in Blazers history, spent his entire career there with the exception of this brief sabbatical that he had in Milwaukee. So he gets to go home again. 3 for 42 is pretty great because between what you're going to get from the Blazers over the next few years and what he's going to get from the Bucks just next year, Tommy, he's going to make $70 million from those two teams. And then over the next 2 years, he's going to make $141 million. And on top of all that, Tommy, this is the part where it starts to make, I mean, from Dave's perspective, this is fantastic. Not only does he get a player option in the final season, which is rich enough, but to really sweeten this thing beyond really understanding for me from the Blazers perspective is the no trade clause. I mean, look, if you're Dame, you're ecstatic, but somebody in Portland is going to have to explain to me how you're going to give a guy who's 36 coming off an Achilles a player option and a no trade.
So remind me if you can, and maybe some others who don't pay attention to Trailblazers basketball, because we have seen Dame from time to time with Giannis and the Bucks. What type of team do we see them now post, the trade to Milwaukee, especially over the last season? What type of team have the Trailblazers been on the court?
Yeah, interesting, right? Last year, I was one of the people, again, advocating for them to go full tank mode. They decided, no, we've got some really nice, young, interesting pieces here. Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, who made all defense. They ended up trading Anthony Simons, but they bring back Drew Holiday in that deal. They've got Scoot Henderson, who's on the rise, and Shaedon Sharpe. They also unplugged DeAndre Ayton from that really complicated center situation, so now they've got more room for Donovan Clingan, and they drafted just now Chinese joker Yang Hansen, who's a really interesting piece. The whole point here is that the Western Conference is loaded, but they do have some really nice, young, interesting pieces on the Trailblazers. I don't know that redounds to them being Western Conference contenders, certainly. I doubt that they'll make the playoffs proper, but a play-in scenario, that's on the table for the Blazers this year. And then a year on, when Dame finally comes back from his Achilles, they'll get a veteran presence back in that locker room. That's a team that could make some disruptions moving forward. I mean, maybe win a series. I doubt 2, but they're a nice, young, up-and-coming team for when Dame returns.
And then lastly here, what concerns, if any, do you have of Damian Lillard as he recovers from injury?
Yeah, the Achilles is a really difficult one, right? I mean, an ACL is almost routine these days. You can come back from that pretty quickly. Kyrie Irving is one of those players who's recovering and rehabbing from an ACL right now. And Achilles, as we saw, a rash of them towards the end of the season, whether that's due to playing too many games or going deep into the season. But you had one from Jason Tatum, you had one from Tyrese Halliburton, and of course from Damian Lillard. You don't want to see that happen to any player, but for a player who's going to be 36 years old when he comes off of the Achilles, it's not like he's just going to hit the court and look like the old Damian Lillard right away. It's going to take some time, not only for him to get back to being fully healthy, but also for him to look like the Damian Lillard or any approximation that he was previously. So long road ahead of Damian Lillard still, and so also for the Portland Trailblazers.
Yep, going to miss the entire 25/26 season, but rejoining a team and a
Milwaukee Bucks. And I know that everyone is looking towards, well, it'll be another year, but what team do you think is the best fit for Dame here, Bobby? Because it could be a year, but it could not be.
Well, I mean, I look at the Damian Lillard situation. I think there's the human element, and then there's also the basketball court here. And for me, it's a reunion back in Portland here. I think certainly where Damian Lillard is at his career, where his children reside in Portland, he's doing all his rehab in Portland. Yes, he will likely be out an extended period of time this year, but if you compare him with Drew Holiday in that Portland backcourt next year, I just look at a reunion with Portland. He certainly left on better terms than a player that would have who asked to be traded. For me, I would circle Portland for Damian Lillard. If I was asked to pick a place, that would be the place for him.
Wow. Portland, again. There's a certain storybook ending that would be, though, Tim.
And look, there's family issues as well there. I would rather see Dame be put in a situation where he can chase a ring, where he can be the last piece of a potential championship puzzle. You know, maybe back in his hometown in the Bay Area with Golden State, if they can get some business done and put together the kind of team.
Our hometown.
Oh, your hometown. But hey, if he wants to go back to Portland, that would be.
That's certainly interesting, though, Bobby, and something that we'll keep an eye on. Hey, we're almost reported that 5 other teams, though, they were actually interested. The Heat, the Bucks, the Lakers, the Wolves, and the Warriors in Beal, but all signs pointed to him wanting to be a Clipper, and that looks like it's going to happen after he clears waivers. But, Bobby, do you think that any of these teams have maybe another move out there to make after missing out on Beal?
I do, and I think we're going to certainly keep an eye on Golden State here. Malika, we're 3 weeks into free agency right now, and guess how many players Golden State has on their roster? 9. There is certainly a lot more work to do here, and a lot of it's being held up with the restricted free agency of Jonathan Kuminga, who's still one of the 4 restricted free agents out. Golden State continues to sit in a holding pattern right now. There's certainly a priority to get some front court depth. Right now they have Quentin Post as their lone center, and some backcourt scoring here. So Golden State, 3 weeks into free agency, still have to go out and sign about 5 to 6 players here.
Real quick, Aman, we haven't gotten your thoughts yet on this whole saga with Jonathan Kuminga.
That's tough. I really like his game. I really like everything that he brings. If I was him, I would be sitting there with my hands up like, guys, what are we doing?
Right.
I know I can hoop, and I know that I'm only going to get older every year, so it's like, what are we doing? What's my plan?
And what else can he do to prove to the Golden State Warriors that he's worthy of being called on?
I think he gets talked about around the league enough, especially when you start listening to his peers. When his peers, especially when they talk about it and say who do they think is on their way to that, they talk about him as if he is a frustrating assignment to have on a night-to-night basis. And when he finally gets his chance and get his opportunity, I think it's going to be foot to neck.
That's a pretty high compliment. But since we're talking about the players that are still available and waiving and stretching, Damian Lillard, he is still an unrestricted free agent after being bought out by the Milwaukee.
Mình đã gót xong 2 bên này của nó như vậy rồi nhá. Giờ mình sẽ phần trước. Các bạn sẽ mở cái tờ giấy màu hồng cho mình. Mình sẽ làm rồi bây giờ mình sẽ dùng keo để mình bỏ vào nhé. Mình sẽ cắt các cái phần thừa này của nó đi nhé. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ đi vẽ cái phần khuôn mặt của con mèo ở cái ô màu xanh này nhé. Mình sẽ lấy cái bút màu nâu này. Các bạn sẽ có 3 cái góc ở đây cho mình. Rồi mình hãy đặt nó xuống. Tiếp theo là 2 góc bên này. Rồi sau đó mình sẽ lấy cái bút đen này để mình vẽ cái mắt cho nó nhé. Đó, mình đã vẽ xong cái phần